He's a fine figure of a man and handsome too. With his eyes upon the secret places he liked to.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. This week we are going to continue on finishing up the Woods Hole District, Station 2, and we'll be concentrating on the area to the mentioned last time was so-called north of Woods Hole Road. You could say west of Woods Hole Road, either way, as long as you can. Just the way I try to remember different areas of town, and especially in Woods Hole. There's different sections, different roads, different neighborhoods, and if you break it down that way, it's easier to recall. And as you'll see here, we mentioned his Woods Hole Road runs down here, so it's a good dividing line. And there's all these neighborhoods here that we spoke about before. And in this session here, we're going to be talking about this section up in here, Penzance, down in the village, the center of Woods Hole, and we have these neighborhoods up here that are facing Buzzards Bay, and each of them has, and then there's this area here, right off of Harbor Hill Road, that it each has their own distinct little flavor and their distinct little nuances to the neighborhood. The other thing that we have to remember for this area here is Woods Hole is a very diverse community, not only population-wise, but also because we have single-family wood frame dwellings. We have multi-million-dollar mansions, maybe wood frame, maybe a little bit more like commercial structure, but we also have all of the scientific institutions in Woods Hole, and a lot of those are, you know, they could be fire resistive, they could be ordinary, they could be limited or non-combustible. So there's a myriad of construction in the center of Woods Hole, and they're multi-story buildings. They do not have to conform to Town of Falmouth codes because they are federal buildings. Yes, we do cooperate with them and they work with us, but they don't have to because they are federal buildings. That includes NOAA, and that includes the oceanographic. MBL is a little different. However, in this area of town, obviously a multi-story building, so won't belabor the point, but this is just showing, uses Google Earth thing just to show some of the characteristics of the area. And we'll be talking, I'm going to do a whole nother session on some of the particular aspects of Woods Hole. We'll do another session on the buildings in Hui, the buildings of MBL, the buildings of NOAA, and also some of the other particulars of Woods Hole, Elizabeth Islands, and so forth. So I'm just showing here at the end of Penzance, wanted to show Devil's Foot for those who are not familiar with the Woods Hole geography. Devil's Foot and Ram Island, and then right off the end of Penzance Point. And obviously we all pretty good idea that Penzance Point is some big money, tennis courts, you know, big lawns and multi-million-dollar homes. That kind of goes without saying. But they are a shorefront community, and they are gated here with security personnel, and Woods Hole Yacht Club there, and sure many of us are aware of Eel Pond, and Stony Beach, which is Stony Beach up in here, which is a public Town of Falmouth beach, but it's actually an MBL beach that they let the town use. and the Woods Hole ball field, and the Bell Tower Lane playground, tennis courts, so forth. It's just kind of, you can kind of see. I would urge you to look at it in your own way to work out these neighborhoods, but you can see there's a little higher density in this Buzzards Bay Ave neighborhood than there is over in this Whitman Road area, and the same as in Gansett and Gardner Road. A lot less density. And then when you get over in this section over here, which I kind of call the hill area, the density, some of the houses are closer together, but they're a little easier to deal with. And we also have a lot of oceanographic stuff that ends up taking over a few buildings. And we do have the hotels in there. There's going to be an assisted living complex in there, so on and so forth. But all right, and we'll just back out here and begin to take a look at I think what we'll do first is we will go over the overview of the area first and try that out. And as we've mentioned, we're talking about Woods Hole Village. This is part 2, and as I mentioned, it is a diverse neighborhood, not only population wise but building wise. And we got to remember that some of these folks live there year round, and we have other folks that are transient. We have people that are foreign speaking, so we have language barrier problems, and we also have a lot of service workers there, but we also have a lot of scientific people there as well. So the area, this area north of Woods Hole Road, also has diverse construction. Mixed commercial, educational, dormitory, antique, historical buildings, as well as wood frame single-family dwellings. There are neighborhoods within neighborhoods. This is the village of Woods Hole, but even within the village there are these sub-neighborhoods, these sub-areas that are, in each way, they are unique to their own characteristics. You got Penzance Point. You have the MBL area of Woods Hole that has all of their buildings. You have the Hui areas with their buildings, and Noah, also known as the Fisheries, they have their area out by the aquarium. You have the Hill area, which is Harbor Hill, Strawberry Hill, Standpipe Hill. You have the Barneck Road area, which is down by Stony Beach, all that area down there. Buzzards Bay Ave is a whole nother area that a lot of the houses in there are 1929, 35 vintage houses, and they're built very similarly. And also is the Whitman Hyatt Road area. Woods Hole also has a sewer system. That whole downtown village area around Eel Pond has a sewer system. Just like in downtown Falmouth, but this, and then Old Silver Beach is a little different, but this sewer system in Woods Hole is pretty extensive, right in the village. We do have 2 below grade confined space pump houses, and we will note them. One's in the end of Park Road, and one is right on Water Street. We also have hydrants throughout the area. Some of the hydrants are very good. They're well over 1,000 gallons a minute. We also have a hydrant at the end of Gansett Road, where we had a fire a few years ago that only gave us 200 gallons a minute, and we're wondering why we couldn't put the fire out. But you look at the flow tests, and that's what's showing. And when we had the fire down the other last year down to Gardner Road, that hydrant there was, I think we'll have to look at it, but it was only like 400, 500, 600, 700 gallons a minute. So a little bit better, but not much. Hazards, we try to talk about hazards in each of these neighborhood presentations. In this case here, We have single-family dwellings as our greatest hazard, but we also have unsprinklered multi-story office buildings. Some of the buildings that are down in Woods Hole, whether they're wood frame or commercial, they were built before they had sprinkler codes, or since they're government buildings, they don't have to conform to sprinkler. We also have ships. We have Steamship Authority, has quite a few ships of their own. NOAA has 2 of their ships. Hui has their ships. So we don't. Hopefully, we'll never get called a shipboard fire or a shipboard medical. But we do have to realize that this area here has pretty large ships, and we have dormitories, the Swope building, and a lot of the housing down in Woods Hole. And we have a lot of transient population, scientists, people coming and going. The roads, the road networks, as we go through. We have Penzance Point, we just mentioned. Water Street is the main road, obviously down the center. Albatross Street, down by the aquarium. MBL Street and North Street. They run down through the dormitories and then run over to the Swope building. Barneck, Spencer Baird, Bigelow, Gosnold Park. Those are all the ones that are around Stony Beach and that neighborhood right in there. There's a couple of really short roads in there, so you really have to be aware of which ones this left or right. Your Field Street and Bell Tower, Playground, School Street, obviously the school is on there, Railroad, Luscombe Ave, Maury Lane, runs up to some, and Challenger Drive run up to some Hui properties. Then we have the Gardner Road, Buzzards Bay Ave, Orchard Street, High Street, Middle Street, whoops, Middle Street spelled wrong, Bowditch Road, coming off of Quistit Ave. And then another access, you have Quistit Ave, Gardner Road, Whitman, Hyatt, Mast, Clapp, Brooks, and Agassiz, run over to Gansett. So the way I remember that is these are all what I think of last names. Obviously Mast is not a last name, but Whitman, Hyatt, Clapp, Brooks, Agassiz, those are all people's last names, so that's in that neighborhood. Buzzards Bay Ave, Buzzards Bay, you have Orchard, High, and Middle. Okay? And then we have the Hill area, which is off of Harbor Hill. You have Harbor Hill, you have Carrot Hill, you have Standpipe Hill, you have Strawberry Hill, then you have Mowing Way and Sydney and Fern. So, just a little ways that I try to remember the areas. And then we have the response times, which this is all to Gosnold Road, which is down by Stony Beach. Station 2, it's 1.7 miles, so we should be able to get there in 4 minutes. We have the little congestion in front of the post office, so it may take us a little longer. Over the bridge, we have to be aware of the drawbridge, whether it's up or down. Station 1, you're talking 4.3 miles. Station 4, 7.3 miles, 14. Station 5 is 8.2, the next closest, and Station 3 is 11.1. Now, the be aware of here, it takes Station 2 probably 4 minutes to get down there. Headquarters is going to be 4 or 5 minutes behind them. That's going to give Station 2 people time. They're pretty much essentially running solo for about 4 or 5 minutes, the initial important time of either a medical or a fire run. In those first 4 to 5 minutes, you're going to be on your own. So you got to get a good setup. Make sure you leave your areas open for the ladder and the engine to come down. And then your third engine is going to be 10 minutes away from your first arrival. So this becomes very important for Station 2, the 22 people, to lay into a fire from a hydrant. Lay in, headquarters comes in and sits at the hydrant, and now you've got, by the time you're getting ready to run out of water, you've got someone on the hydrant. If you're going to wait, and these two engines are going to be up at the scene, and 21's going to lay the hydrant, and then we're going to have Station 4 lay in, well, guess what? You're going to be 10 minutes or more running on your tank water before someone's going to pump that hydrant. So that's where it becomes important. Okay. Now we will look at the maps a little bit. We'll kind of take a look at the road network here. We already went over most of the roads in there. I just want to point out some of the water system and so forth. Let me bring up the other map here. Okay. Let these fill in here a little bit. Okay, let's just fill in here a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, we'll start down in Penzance for no particular reason except to, I want to point out something here that, as far as the hydrants are concerned, I'll zoom in here a little bit. Okay. Now here's the end of Penzance Road, and we have a hydrant at the end that is 710 gallons per minute. And if you look at this house way down at the end here, I bet you we're talking probably not 10,000 square foot house, but probably at least a 6,000 square foot house running, trying to put a fire out with 710 gallons a minute. But here's our little difference here. These hydrants here are rated for 1,500 gallons a minute, and we have a 1,500 gallon a minute pumper. So we should be not grab the last hydrant, but grab one of these hydrants before if we're going to go down there. And the rest of Penzance Point, according to the water department anyway, is showing very good water. I don't know about the pressure down there, but the water that we should have should be, water supply should be good. And now we're going to look at this neighborhood right in here, which is, I call the I don't know, I guess you could call it whatever you want. Maybe Steve Murphy or some of the other Woods Hole guys would be able to tell you a little bit what it might be called, but this is the down by Stony Beach, the Stony Beach area anyway. Otherwise, they is you got Albatross Street run by the aquarium, and North Street MBL comes across all these MBL buildings, and then you have Barneck Road. Okay, Barneck ends up going out to Penzance Road, and this is where they change off. So you got Barneck, Penzance, and then Gosnold runs around here, and then in the middle you have Spencer Baird and Bigelow. Okay, and that intersection with Millfield. So it's Millfield, that intersection is Millfield and Spencer Baird. And Bigelow's a little short street in the middle, and then Albatross continues on and becomes Gardner Road. And then Gardner Road runs all the way around, and we have Park Road. That was just show. Okay, run up over here, and Park Road, and there's a confined space below grade pump station here at the end of Park Road for the sewer system. Just being aware of that. And then we have, I guess we'll go this way here, Gardner, and we'll let this fill in here to this right off the bat. Right, we talked about Buzzards Bay. What's Buzzards Bay? Buzzards Bay has Orchard, Middle, and High Street. Right, we have Buzzards Bay Ave that connects through to Quistit Ave, that cuts through. And then we have Bowditch, Middle, and High Street. Okay. And then, so that's one neighborhood there. And those are the areas there that I said a lot of those houses were like 1930s style houses. Some of them aren't, but most of them are. And then we go over the other neighborhood, which is all of the last name streets, right? We had Agassiz. First we have Whitman that runs from Gardner to Quissit. Whitman's the one that cuts through. But we have Hyatt, runs through here to Brooks, Mast, Agassiz, and Clapp. Clapp runs over here. So that's that neighborhood there. And the Woods Hole Golf Course is up over here in this area here, but we run in just after the golf course. You go in, it's Gansett Road. You come to a little fork in the road, and Clapp, there's a sign there, and Clapp goes this way, Gansett goes around. Okay? And one of the things I wanted to point out is here we end Gardner Road here. Of course, we had the fire, 122 Gardner Road right up in there. Look at the gallonage of the hydrant that's right there, 770 gallons a minute. That's enough to get 2.5s going. I don't remember what the pressure was there, but then we move up. This is the end of Gardner Road. Here's a 400 gallon a minute hydrant. There's no road through here, but the water line runs through to Gansett Road. Now, we look at this area here of Gansett Road. Okay, the hydrant there, there's no hydrants here on Gansett Road. Okay, so if you're looking to go to a fire in this house or this house here, well, there's no hydrants in this section here. And then your bad choice is to go past it and grab this 340 gallon a minute hydrant. So we need to, there's dispatchers and personnel, we need to remember this section here at Gansett does not, but we get into this section and we do. However, the GPM ratings there are not very good at all. And here's that 200 gallon a minute hydrant that we had to deal with on a very cold night, and we're wondering why we couldn't put the fire out. We were beat before we got there. All right, and next we want to go to let's see, the hill area here. Wait for this map to fill in here. Now we have Harbor Hill, which we frequently use as a cut through from Woods Hole Road on up, which is an important cut through. So, and then we have Sydney Street is your first right. Now we got to be careful up in here because a lot of these roads are dirt roads and they're not very well maintained. Sydney Street is not very well maintained. Strawberry Hill is not that well maintained. And Standpipe Hill here, right after the golf course on the right, we had a code there back a month or so ago, I don't know, the early part of the summer of '09, and Standpipe Hill does not have a street sign out on Woods Hole Road, and it's a very small, narrow road. You'd look at it as perhaps somebody's driveway, but this is Standpipe Hill Road, and it runs up. The reason it's called Standpipe is there's an old town standpipe right here, but there are houses on there. We need to know that's the quickest access to Standpipe, although it's very narrow. And then you have Mowing Way, another little narrow road, but runs up to a couple of houses, and that's the only way you can get to them is up this section here. So you have Harbor Hill, and then you have Carrot Hill, which you would think comes across here, and there is a small little connection there, but you really can't get through. And then you have Fern Lane runs off of Harbor Hill. Okay, and then one other little road that I want to mention here is we used to go to it a lot is Cricket Lane. Right across from Buzzards Bay Ave is Cricket Lane. Okay, now let's see if this town map has filled in here, because I wanted to just point out, I guess it's not going to work here. And the other, let's see, the other sewer system below grade pump house that we should be aware of, because it is important for our fellow public DPW employees. The other pump house is right here. Here's Eel Pond. Okay, and right in here is where they have another below grade pump house here. So it's important for us to be aware of that. And for those that are really into it, this map on the Town of Falmouth website will give us all of that. Give us the sewer system as a map and show where it all goes to. Anyway, I guess that's okay. So this will show, you go to the Town of Falmouth website, the GIS, and that will show you the sewer system pipe-wise. Alright, now we're just going to hit a few photographs here just to review some of the buildings that we have in that area. I want to show you one of the house on, let's see, alright, we'll start with this here is one of the oceanographic buildings. As you can see, it is like a metal space building, but inside of this has the box, but it's a deep submergence lab. It's up off of Challenger Drive and Maury Lane, and they have a large pool in there where they use the ROVs inside of there. But this is tucked away in an area that you'd think would be residential, and here we have a very large commercial style building. And I think this building here is pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure everybody's been by the Woods Hole School. It's a 1-1 box. It's not used as a public school now. However, it does have significant historical significance to Woods Hole. So it is one of our target hazards for that particular area. And I wanted to show this little odd house, which was on Harbor Hill Road. Just when you think you have all the houses kind of pegged out, you come across something like this with these concrete access walls, these rounded steel roofs. I mean, what do you call this when you show up? Do you call it a contemporary? Do you call it a steel building? You see smoke pouring out of here and you go to vent. How are we gonna vent this thing? Pretty interesting. All right. And this house here is just typical of the houses that are on Buzzards Bay Ave and in that middle street, High Street area. Like I say, they're wood frame, built in the late 20s, early 30s, and they're pretty close together. But I don't think we don't really have any conflagration hazard in particular in that neighborhood. And this here is on Buzzards Bay Ave, and it is a very large wood frame building with a large porch. It's 2.5 stories in the front and 3 stories to the rear, and it is a multi-apartment building. I believe I've lost track of how many units were in there, but it was somewhere around 6 to 8 units. So we do have a multi-family, or well, you should call it family, multi-unit apartment building right there in Buzzards Bay Ave, not connected by a box. So, and it's wood frame. So we do have that as a pretty darn good hazard there. And this building here is the daycare center on Harbor Hill Road. Don't go there too often, but just be aware that it exists there. And let's see. And this was a house on Mowing Way. Just wanted to show some of the style there. It's a little tough to see there, a little dark. But it's a single story ranch type structure. And when I looked at this, it really didn't look like anybody was home. It looked kind of vacant. It actually had a no trespassing sign on it. So I don't know if it's occupied or unoccupied, but it was just typical of the architecture up in that hill area that we spoke about. But then we also have that rounded metal building there as well as a let's see, we have one more here. Let's see. Oh, that was a daycare. Okay, that was good. Okay. All right, just flipping through these last few. All right, I think that wraps that up. The Woods Hole area, you have to work on some of the neighborhoods yourself to kind of pick up your own method of learning it. And I hope that's been helpful for you. And in the meantime, stay safe and eat healthy.